Rome will lose the faith and become the seat of the Antichrist. This is not a quote from a conspiracy theorist on the internet. This is not a line from a fictional movie. These are the exact words recorded in 1846 by the Catholic Church itself, allegedly spoken by the Virgin Mary to two shepherd children in the French Alps. For over a century, powerful forces within the Vatican tried to silence this message. They banned the book. They persecuted the messenger. They tried to pretend it never happened. Why? Because unlike other apparitions that brought hope, the message of Salette brought a verdict. It predicted that the final enemy of humanity would not come from the outside, but would rise from within the sanctuary itself. Welcome to the most controversial prophecy in the history of Christianity. While millions know about Fatima and Lourdes, few understand the terror of Salette. It is the missing link that explains the chaos we see in the world today. If you have ever looked at the news and felt that society is collapsing, or that the church has lost its way, you are watching the fulfillment of a warning given 180 years ago. The story begins on September 19, 1846. Two children, Melanie Calvat, age 14, and Maximin Giraud, age 11, were watching their cows high in the mountains. Suddenly, they saw a ball of light brighter than the sun. As the light opened, they saw a woman sitting on a rock. She was not smiling. She was burying her face in her hands. She was weeping uncontrollably. But it was her appearance that terrified the children. She was wearing a heavy chain over her shoulders. Chains on a heavenly figure. This was the first sign that something was wrong with the world. The chains represented the sins of humanity that were weighing her down. She told the children, "The arm of my son is so strong and so heavy that I can no longer hold it back." The message she gave was divided into two parts. The first was public, and it was terrifyingly accurate. She warned that if people did not repent, the potatoes would rot. She said, "The walnuts will go bad, and the grapes will rot." At the time, no one believed her. But within months, Europe was hit by a massive famine. The potato blight struck exactly as predicted. Thousands died. This proved to the skeptics that the children were not lying. The agricultural part of the prophecy came true immediately. But there was a second part, a secret given specifically to Melanie. A secret so dark that when she finally wrote it down years later, it caused a panic in Rome. Melanie was told to keep the secret for a specific time. When she finally published it in 1879 with the approval of the local bishop, the reaction was explosive. The text described a future where the devil will be admitted into the church. It spoke of a time when religious orders would lose their faith and many priests would break away from the true religion. Think about the weight of that statement. In the mid-19th century, the church was a fortress of stability. To predict a great apostasy, a mass loss of faith, among the clergy seemed impossible. Yet the prophecy described a specific timeline. It said, "In the year 1864, Lucifer with a great number of demons will be unchained from hell. They will abolish faith little by little." The text gets even more specific and more disturbing for our modern times. It describes how society will change. It says, all order and all justice would be trampled underfoot. The only things seen would be murder, hatred, jealousy, lying, and discord without love for country or family. Look at our cities today. Look at the breakdown of the family unit. Look at the political hatred. Salette didn't just predict religious changes, it predicted the total moral collapse of Western civilization. But the Vatican's biggest fear was not about society, it was about the hierarchy. The secret explicitly stated, the church will be in eclipse, the world will be in consternation. The word eclipse is crucial. An eclipse doesn't mean the sun disappears. It means something dark stands in front of it, blocking the light. Interpreters have believed for decades that this means a dark power would position itself in front of the true church, obscuring the truth. Melanie was relentlessly attacked for releasing this text. Holy Office decrees tried to suppress the reading of the secret. Why were they so afraid? Because the prophecy named names. It didn't just say, bad things will happen. It pointed a finger at the leaders of the faith. It suggested that the ultimate betrayal would be an inside job. And then comes the line that stops your heart. The prophecy speaks of two worms. It speaks of the abomination of desolation standing in the holy place. It warns that before the end, the Antichrist will be born, and he will be born from a false virgin, claiming to be the Savior. In the next part of this video, we are going to read the full, uncensored text of the secret regarding the birth of the beast and the seasons changing. We will see how Salette predicted climate change, the alteration of the seasons, and the physical shaking of the earth that accompanies the spiritual fall of Rome. The earth will be struck by calamities of all kinds, the weeping virgin told Melanie, but then she added a phrase that makes modern scientists pause. Nature is asking for vengeance for men, and she shudders with dread in waiting for what must happen to the crime-stained earth. Most prophecies focus on wars. Salette focused on the planet itself. The secret contains a specific warning that sounds remarkably like a description of catastrophic climate change, but with a spiritual cause. The text says, "The seasons will be altered, the earth will produce only bad fruit, the stars will lose their regular motion, the moon will only reflect a faint reddish glow. The seasons will be altered." Look out your window. We are seeing winters without snow, summers of unbearable heat, floods in deserts. The prophecy warned that the very rhythm of nature would break because of humanity's rebellion. It describes tremors and convulsions of the earth that will swallow up mountains and cities. This isn't just weather. It's the planet rejecting its inhabitants. But the physical chaos is just a backdrop for the true horror, the arrival of the ultimate enemy. The secret of Salette provides one of the most detailed and bizarre descriptions of the Antichrist in Catholic mysticism. It doesn't describe a political system, but a person. A being born of Hebrew nuns, a false virgin, who will have teeth when he is born, and will vomit blasphemies. While this language sounds medieval, many theologians interpret it symbolically. The teeth at birth represents a being who is born with a voracious appetite for power, ready to devour from day one. The prophecy says he will be the head of armies. This links directly to the fears of a World War III. The text warns, there will be a bloody war, war of the 6 plagues, the 10 kings of the Antichrist. This is where Salette connects the spiritual to the geopolitical. It warns that before the Antichrist reveals himself fully, there will be a false peace. The text says, people will think of nothing but amusement. The wicked will give themselves over to all kinds of sin. Does this sound familiar? A society distracted by entertainment, blind to the storm gathering on the horizon. And then the prophecy drops the hammer on the Vatican again. It warns that during this time of confusion, Italy will be punished for her ambition in shaking off the yoke of the Lord of Lords. It says, "The vicar of my son will have much to suffer. He will be persecuted." This mirrors the visions of Fatima and Pope Pius X. It paints a picture of a pope surrounded by enemies, perhaps even a prisoner in his own home. But the most chilling line for believers is about the abomination. The text says, "In the convents the flowers of the church will decompose and the devil will make himself like the king of all hearts." This is the eclipse we spoke of, a time when the institutions designed to save souls become traps that destroy them. Melanie Calvat, the seer, was so terrified by these secrets that she spent her life wandering, persecuted by the very bishop she tried to warn. She was called mad. She was exiled. Why? Because she refused to soften the message. She insisted that Paris will burn and Marseille will be swallowed up. She insisted that the great city would be destroyed by earthquakes and fire. For American viewers, this is a crucial warning. While the prophecy names French cities, the pattern is global. The great city in prophecy often represents the center of world commerce and sin. The description of fire falling from the sky and water swallowing the land is a universal warning for the modern world. The Secret also mentions a period of 25 years of harvest where the crops will fail and the earth will be barren. We have already seen the precursors: supply chain collapses, droughts, bad fruit. We are living in the preamble to the main event. In the final part of this video, we will discuss the apostles of the last times. This is the only ray of hope in the entire dark message. The Virgin called for a specific group of people, perhaps you watching this video, to rise up during the darkness. She gave instructions on how to recognize the true believers when the eclipse is total. Is there any hope? If Rome is in eclipse, if the seasons are broken, if the great city is destined to burn, is there anywhere left to hide? The Secret of La Salette ends not with doom, but with a recruitment call, a call to arms. But the weapons are not guns or bunkers. The Virgin Mary looked across the centuries, past the wars and the famine, directly at our generation, and she called for a specific group of people she named the apostles of the last times. Who are they? Are they bishops? No. Are they politicians? No. According to the prophecy, they are ordinary people who have been living in the shadows, despised by the world but loved by God. The text describes them beautifully and powerfully. I make an urgent appeal to the earth. I call on the apostles of the last times, the faithful disciples of Jesus Christ, who have lived in a contempt for the world and for themselves, in poverty and in humility, in contempt and in silence, in prayer and in mortification, in chastity and in union with God, in suffering and unknown to the world. This is the profile of the resistance. The prophecy says that when the Antichrist rises and the church is eclipsed, these hidden soldiers will step forward. They won't have the support of the Vatican or the media. They will have something stronger. The text says, they will have the crucifix in one hand and the rosary in the other. It is time for them to go out and light up the earth, the prophecy commands. Go and show yourselves to be my cherished children. This is a direct message to you. If you feel like an outsider in this modern world, if you feel sickened by the corruption of society and the lies of the powerful, if you feel that the truth has been hidden from you, it is very likely that you are hearing this message because you are part of this group. The prophecy was waiting for you. The eclipse of the church does not mean the church dies. It means it is hidden. The moon blocks the sun, but the sun is still there. The apostles are the sparks of light that prove the sun still exists. Your job, according to La Salette, is to keep the faith when everyone else is losing it, to keep the commandments when the laws of man become lawless. Melanie Calvat ended her days warning that the time was short. She said, "The church will be in eclipse, the world will be in consternation. But behold, Enoch and Elijah filled with the Spirit of God. They will preach with the might of God, and men of good will believe in God, and many souls will be comforted." We are entering the era of the two worms, the era of internal betrayal. But we are also entering the era of the greatest heroes. The timeline of La Salette, combined with Fatima and Akita, points to a climax in our lifetime. The alteration of the seasons has begun. The famine of truth is here. The stage is set for the final act. Do not be afraid of the Antichrist in Rome. Be afraid of falling asleep. Be afraid of becoming one of the wicked who give themselves over to amusement. The warning of La Salette is a gift. It allows you to see the trap before it snaps shut. Fight, children of light, you, the few who can see, for the time of times, the end of ends is at hand. This is not just a video. This is your briefing. The secret was hidden for 100 years, but now it is out. The question is no longer, is it true? The question is, What will you do now that you know? Subscribe to this channel. We are gathering the few who can see. In our next investigation, we will uncover the prophecy of the great monarch, the warrior king predicted by Catholic mystics who is destined to restore order after the chaos. Is he already alive? The eclipse is starting. Light your candle